Before we begin, take a moment to get comfortable. Let your arms go heavy, your breath slow. And as you listen, feel free to leave a comment sharing what time it is, where you are, and what city or village you're listening from. It's love to know. And if you'd like more quiet stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe so they gently appear when you need them most. Now, let's begin. The moon drifts above, pale and patient. Its glow is quiet, softened by distance, yet its presence is constant. Every night it rises, sometimes as a silver curve, sometimes full and luminous, sometimes hidden in shadow. Always it is there, moving across the sky in silence. And though it seems far away, though it seems untouchable, its pull is steady and real. Across the vastness between earth and moon, an invisible force stretches outward. Gravity. It is not a roar, not a flash, but a quiet hand that reaches, always present, always pulling. This hand does not grab suddenly. It leans, it invites, it tugs with patience. Okay? The oceans listen. The water does not leap, does not surge. It bends, slowly, softly, leaning toward the moon. It rises in rhythm, not once, not twice, but endlessly. Every day, twice a day, the sea lifts itself in answer. The pool is ancient, older than memory, older than life itself. The night is quiet, and still the moon pulls. A dance of distance, the distance between earth and moon is immense, about 384,000 kilometers. To the eye, it feels close, just above the horizon. But in truth, it is farther than any journey humans can take without machines. Across this gulf, the moon holds Earth in its gentle pull. The ocean, fluid and restless, is the most responsive. Unlike rock or soil, water moves easily. It leans outward, forming two bulges, one on the side facing the moon, one on the far side where Earth itself is tugged away from the water. To stand on the beach is to feel this motion invisibly beneath your feet. The night is quiet, and the dance of distance continues. The breathing of the planet as Earth turns. The bulges of water slide across its surface. A beach that was dry at midday lies under waves at dusk. A cove filled with water at night is bare rocked by dawn. The planet breathes through these tides, inhaling, exhaling, each cycle steady, each cycle sure. It is not a storm. It is not chaos. It is repetition. Twice each day, high tide returns, as certain as sunrise. Twice each day, the water withdraws, as certain as sunset. The breathing of Earth does not falter, because the moon does not falter. The night is quiet, and the breath of Earth goes on. A force without sound. Gravity has no sound. The pull of the moon is silent. No ear can hear it. No eye can see it directly. Yet its influence is everywhere. The very shape of the oceans is sculpted by it. The rhythm of coastlines, the erosion of cliffs, the building of estuaries, all drawn by this unseen hand. Children may play at the shore, unaware that the tide approaching their feet is answering a call from the sky. Fishermen may time their boats by this motion. Aquatic creatures may follow its rhythm. None of them hear the voice, yet all respond. The night is quiet, and the pool continues unseen. A memory older than life, before forests, before animals, before even the first fragile plants rose from the sea. The tides were already there. 4 billion years ago, when the earth was young and the moon closer, tides were stronger, higher, faster. The pull was fierce then, reshaping shorelines every day, stirring the oceans into constant movement. In that restless water, chemistry found patterns. Molecules met, collided, and joined. Life itself is thought to have emerged in tidal pools, where water came and went, where concentration and dilution alternated like a breath. Without the moon's pull, life might never have found its rhythm. The night is quiet, okay, and the ancient pull remains. The gentle strength of gravity. The moon's gravity is only 1/6 as strong as Earth's. If you could stand there, you would weigh far less. And yet, from its distance, the moon moves oceans. It proves that strength is not always in force, but in patience. Steady influence, stretched across distance and time, shapes the greatest waters on Earth. The tides are not storms. They are persuasion. They are the whisper of gravity, repeated over billions of years. That whisper has carved coasts, filled bays, and written patterns into the living world. The night is quiet, and the whisper is enough. Creatures of the pool life has learned to follow the tides. Crabs scuttle from pools at low tide. Mussels open and close with the rhythm of waves. Shorebirds wait for the retreat of water to reveal food. Entire ecosystems breathe in step with the moon. Even humans live by the pull. Fishing villages know the schedule of tides. Ancient farmers in river deltas planted by its rhythm. Modern cities build walls and harbors in answer to it. The moon's silent tug orders not just water, but daily life. The night is quiet, and life moves in harmony with the moon. A relationship that never ends. The moon pulls at Earth, and Earth pulls back. The relationship is mutual. Our planets. Gravity holds the moon in orbit. Without it, the moon would drift into space. But because of this bond, the two are tied together forever. Circling, tugging, leaning. It is a dance. Older than memory, older than history. Earth turns, the moon circles, and together they create the tides. It is a relationship, not of noise, not of fire, but of steady silence. The night is quiet, and the dance never ends. A slow drift away from the moon is not perfectly still in its orbit. Each year, it drifts a few centimeters farther away. Long ago, it loomed larger in the sky, its pull stronger. In the far future, it will seem smaller, its pull weaker. The tides will change, though slowly, far beyond human memory. And yet, even with this drift, the rhythm continues. For now, the tides obey, as they have for billions of years. The ocean still rises, still falls, still leans toward its companion in the sky. The night is quiet, and the moon still holds us. The endless repetition. High tide comes, then low, then high again. Always the same, always reliable. Right? The pattern has never faltered. Even as continents shift, even as climates change, the pull of the moon writes repetition into the sea. There is comfort in this, to know that no matter what else changes, the water will return, the tide will rise, the tide will fall. It is certainty in a world of uncertainty. The night is quiet, and certainty flows in silence. Toward the next chapter, the silent pull of the moon begins the story. Okay, but the ocean's answer is more complex than simple rise and fall. The water bends not only beneath the moon, but on the far side as well. Earth itself shifts within its liquid skin, and the seas follow an invisible hand. The night is quiet, and the oceans prepared their reply. Asterisk, the moon gazes down from its patient orbit. Its pull is steady, as we have seen, yet the oceans do not respond, only on the side turned toward it. Strangely, curiously, another bulge rises on the far side of Earth, away from the moon. The waters lean outward in balance, as though guided by an invisible hand stretched across the entire globe. To stand on the shore at night is to feel this hand at work. The tide lifts, not only where the moon is close, but also where it is far. Oceans wrap themselves around Earth like a breathing cloak, swelling on both sides at once. One bulge points to the moon, one points away, and between them the waters sink lower, pulled thin. The pattern moves with Earth's rotation, sliding across coastlines, riding its rhythm into every bay, every inlet, every shore. The night is quiet, and the invisible hand continues. The balance of pull and push gravity is a pull, a drawing force. The moon pulls the near side of Earth more strongly than the far side because it is closer. This difference creates imbalance. The oceans, fluid and free to move, stretch outward. On the near side, they rise toward the moon. On the far side, they rise as Earth itself is tugged away, leaving the water behind. It is not contradiction, but balancing, dual bulge, born of one steady force. Imagine Earth wrapped in a thin skin of water, pliant and mobile. The moon's pull distorts this skin into an oval. As Earth rotates, the oval slides around, lifting oceans into high tide, lowering them into low. The invisible hand is not sudden, not violent. It is patient, leaning, bending, steady across billions of years. The night is quiet. Think the oceans lean again. The rhythm of twice a damus coasts see 2 high tides and 2 low tides every day. Roughly every 6 hours, the water changes, creeping in or flowing out. This cycle is not rushed. It is ancient and sure. Twice daily, the ocean responds to the moon's hand to walk along a bay. One notices the rhythm. A beach dry in the morning is covered by evening, then dry again at night. The tides are clocks older than any calendar. They move with precision, guided not by gears or springs, but by the moon's gravity and Earth's turning. The night is quiet, and time itself moves with the tides. A world wrapped in motion. Though we think of continents as still, they are wrapped in movement. Oceans cover 70% of Earth's surface, and all of them move together beneath the moon. The Atlantic swells, the Pacific breathes, the Indian rises and falls. It is a global motion, a single heartbeat written in water. Yet each coastline feels it differently. Narrow bays amplify the rise. Wide seas soften it. Islands stand in the stream, redirecting flow. But everywhere, the same hand guides. The invisible force is universal, steady, shared. The night is quiet, and Earth itself seems to float in liquid rhythm. The hidden hand in stillness to the eye. The ocean may seem calm. Waves lap gently, breezes stir the surface. But beneath, entire masses of water are moving. Millions of tons of sea shift upward and downward each tide. The movement is enormous, yet it unfolds so patiently that we barely notice. This is the nature of the hidden hand, vast in effect, subtle in presence. The moon does not shout. The ocean does not crash solely because of it. Instead, together they enact a motion that is endless, silent, certain. The night is quiet, and the hidden hand remains, a memory in the shoreline. Coastlines remember tides. Salt marshes fill, then drain. Estuaries breathe with the ocean. Sand shifts, sculpted into bars and flats. The pattern of rising and falling water leaves its signature on every shore. Human eyes may not see it at first glance, but birds know, crabs know, fish know. They wait for the tide's return, for the moment when water leans in again. The invisible hand writes its rhythm into memory, and memory repeats in silence. The night is quiet, and the memory of tides endures. Creatures of balanced life is shaped by this constant pull. Mussels cling where water comes and goes. Sea grasses bend in tidal currents. Fish spawn when high water brings them into rivers. Even humans, long before science, built their lives around this rhythm. Fishermen timed their nets, sailors their journeys, farmers their planting by the tide. All of them responded to an invisible hand they could not see. It was not named, not measured, yet it was felt. It was certainty, reliability, repetition. The night is quiet, and creatures still obey. A planet breathing twice think of Earth as a body, the oceans as its chest. Twice a day, the chest rises. Twice a day, it falls. The breathing is not noise, but rhythm, slow and patient. It is a kind of planetary heartbeat, felt across continents, across centuries. This breathing links land and sea. It links bird and fish, forest and estuary, human and moon. The invisible hand draws it all together in one long breath. The night is quiet, and Earth inhales again. The subtle delays, the oceans do not answer instantly. Friction, continents, and depth slow them. The moon pulls, but water lags behind. High tide arrives, not exactly beneath the moon, but delayed, shifted. This lag is part of the rhythm, part of the patience. Even hesitation becomes harmony. It reminds us that the invisible hand is not absolute command, but persuasion. Water listens, but it answers in its own time. The delay is part of the song, part of the softness. The night is quiet, and patience guides the seas. The geometry of the pull across Earth, the invisible hand writes geometry. High tide here means low tide there. Two bulges opposite each other circle the planet as Earth spins. The pattern is simple, yet the effect is vast. This geometry shapes lives. Harbors fill, then empty. Islands rise above water, then sink beneath it. A fisherman in one place and a sailor in another are linked by the same hand, responding to the same pull, though half a world apart. The night is quiet, and the geometry repeats. The long memory of water is ancient. The molecules that rise in tide tonight have risen countless times before. They have been rain, river, ocean, ice, a tea. They have followed the moon for billions of years, a tea. The invisible hand has guided them across all history. To watch the tide is to witness memory itself. Each rise is not new, but part of an endless chain, softly repeating. The night is quiet, and memory drifts in waves. Human wonder when humans first noticed tides. They did not know the cause. They saw the water lean and return, lean and return. They made calendars, built myths, told stories. Only later did science name the invisible hand as gravity. Yet the wonder remains. Even knowing its cause does not lessen its poetry. For what could be more gentle than a pull across space, silent, unseen, yet strong enough to move oceans? What could be more humbling than to realize our world leans in balance to a companion in the sky? The night is quiet, and wonder deepens. Toward the next chapter, the oceans follow an invisible hand, steady and sure. They rise beneath the moon. They rise on the far side. They lean and bend with Earth's motion. Yet, what we notice most, standing on the shore, is the water's embrace of the land. High tide arrives, covering beaches, kissing stones, touching coastlines that only hours before were dry. The night is quiet, and the ocean prepares to reach the shore. Asterisk, when the moon leans closest in its slow journey across the sky, the ocean answers with a rising breath. Water climbs shorelines that seem steady, slipping quietly over rocks and sand. A beach that stretched wide in the morning shrinks into a narrow band by afternoon. Stones once dry are covered. Tide pools once shallow become deep again. It is the ocean's way of touching the land, of pressing close to the world it surrounds. Tide does not rush, does not thunder forward in sudden force. It creeps, it leans, it advances in silence. A line of foam pushes forward, then pauses, then advances again. Each wave carries the boundary a little farther until the shore itself is transformed. This is high tide, the moment when the moon's embrace reaches its fullest extent. The night is quiet, and the tide leans closer still. A familiar disappearance sat high tide. The familiar vanishes. Footprints pressed into sand are erased. Driftwood left by earlier waves floats again. Beaches that stretched long and open disappear beneath the water's edge. This transformation is steady, not abrupt, but its effect is profound to coastal dwellers through history. The coming of high tide has always been both predictable and astonishing. Predictable because it never fails. Astonishing because it rewrites the boundary between land and sea twice each day. The coast is never fixed, never permanent. It breathes with the tides. The night is quiet, and the shoreline shifts in silence. Rocks, touched by the sea cliffs and stones, feel this rhythm too. High tide reaches higher marks, coating rocks with salt, like seaweed clings in wet ribbons, feeding on sunlight when uncovered, floating free when submerged. Mussels anchor in clusters, strong enough to withstand waves, yet always waiting for the ocean's return. Barnacles close their shells at low tide and open again when water rises. High tide is not only the ocean's arrival, it is the renewal of countless lives that depend on its embrace. It is nourishment, a cycle of giving that repeats as faithfully as the moon's path above. The night is quiet, and the stones glisten underwater once more. The rhythm of expectation. Every coast knows this rhythm. Fishermen set their nets by it. Birds wait on the sand until the water brings fish closer. Families once built boats to launch at high tide, letting the ocean lift them from sand into deep water. Expectation is part of the tide's power. It is never random, never lost. The water rises when it should, falls when it should. Ancient calendars, long before clocks, measured days by these arrivals. Its predictability of high tide became part of survival itself. The night is quiet, and the ocean keeps its promise. The sound of arrival high tide is not silent in every way. It speaks softly through the sound of waves. As water climbs higher, the rhythm of surf changes. Foam washes farther up the sand. Pebbles clatter under the weight of water. The grass bends and whispers in the shallows. Yet even this sound is not a roar. It is measured, patterned, endlessly repeating. High tide is the moon's voice carried into water, and water carrying that voice to shore. It is both presence and message. The touch of distance translated into sound. The night is quiet, and the sea's whisper lingers. The brief moment of stillness set its highest point. The tide pauses. For a moment, it seems as if the sea is neither rising nor falling. The waves lap against the same stones again and again. The foam breaks in the same place. Time seems suspended, as though the ocean is catching its breath before retreat. This stillness is brief. Soon, the water begins to slip back, retreating as gently as it arrived. The line of wet sand marks its passage, shining in moonlight. Moment of stillness is part of the cycle, a reminder that even the greatest rhythms pause between movements. The night is quiet, and the pause deepens the calm. A memory written in sand when high tide retreats. It leaves its trace. Seaweed lines the shore. Shells are scattered across wet sand. The limit of its reach is written as a darker band, the edge between damp and dry. Each day, the tide redraws this line, and each day, the sand remembers. Generations have read these signs. Children collecting shells follow the line of the highest water. Fishermen know how far the sea will reach, and farmers in deltas plant crops according to these marks. The ocean inscribes its memory on land, and the land carries it until the tide returns again. The night is quiet, and the sand holds the ocean's handwriting. The pull on human life. High tide has always shaped human life. Ancient harbors were designed to work with its rhythm. Ships entered ports at high tide, carried by the water's rise. Farmers in coastal plains relied on tides to irrigate rice fields or replenish soil with nutrients. In many cultures, festivals were timed to full moons, when high tides are strongest, swelling farther inland. Even today, modern cities build seawalls and harbors according to the schedule of tides. Construction crews pause their work until low water. As fishermen still launch by the rising sea. The ocean's schedule is not ours. It's older, slower, more certain, and yet we follow it. The night is quiet, and humanity leans with the tide. Creatures of the edge high tide transforms ecosystems. Birds feed on fish brought close to shore. Crabs scuttle into new pools of water. Fish ride the rising tide into estuaries, finding food and safety. Plants adapted to salt water soak in nourishment. Even insects wait for the higher reach of waves. This is the intertidal zone, a world defined by high tide. It is a place of extremes, sometimes land, sometimes sea, yet it is also a place of abundance. The moon's embrace gives life twice each day, and life has learned to wait for it. The night is quiet, and the shoreline thrives in its rhythm. A force without hurry-high tide is never rushed. It does not surge forward like a storm. It advances with patience, minute by minute, hour by hour, carrying water a little higher each time. But just as surely as it arrives, it must retreat. The water withdraws, uncovering what was hidden. Rocks glistened. Tide pools reveal creatures. The shoreline stretches wide once again. The night is quiet, and the sea prepares to reveal its hidden worlds. The tide that once pressed close now withdraws, as though the ocean is leaning back, revealing what it held in its arms. Where water once shimmered, sand stretches wide. Where waves once lapped against rocks, they now stand bare, glistening with seaweed. This is low tide, the other half of the moon's embrace. The moment when the ocean reveals hidden worlds. The retreat is not abrupt. Just as high tide arrived with patience, low tide unfolds in the same slow rhythm. Wave after wave pulls back, a little farther, drawing the line of wet sand lower and lower. Pools remain behind, shimmering mirrors filled with life. Rocks gleam with shells and clinging plants. The transformation is as gentle as it is profound. A whole world uncovered, waiting in silence. The night is quiet, and the hidden shore emerges. Unveiling of the intertidal low tide. The intertidal zone, normally submerged, becomes part of the land. This zone is unlike any other habitat on Earth. Twice a day, it is ocean. Twice a day, it is air. It is shaped by rhythms older than memory, and yet it is always changing. The unveiling of this world feels like a curtain lifting. Mussels clustered tightly together glisten in sunlight. Crabs scuttle sideways across wet sand. Sea stars stretch arms over barnacle-covered rocks. Each creature has adapted to this dual existence, surviving both submerged in salt water and exposed to the air. The night is quiet, and the curtain lifts again. Pools of waiting as water recedes. Small pools remain. They are miniature oceans, sealed off for hours until the tide returns. Within them, fish dart between shadows. Anemones wave soft tentacles, and snails crawl slowly across sand. To the outside eye, they are puddles. To the creatures within, they are worlds. These pools hold stories of survival. Oxygen dwindles as the hours pass. Salinity rises as water evaporates. Temperatures shift quickly compared to the open sea. Life within these pockets must endure the wait, trusting that the ocean will return. And it always does. The night is quiet, and the pools glimmer patiently. The glistening rocks at low tide shine with dampness. Seaweed clings in ribbons, drying slowly in the open air. Barnacles cluster tightly, their shells closing to hold. Precious drops of water, limpets press firmly against stone, waiting in stillness. Each surface becomes a mosaic of life, revealed only when the sea withdraws. For countless generations, Humans have walked among these rocks, collecting mussels, crabs, and seaweed. What the ocean hides at high tide becomes harvest at low. The rhythm of survival, both for animals and people, depends on this predictable retreat. The night is quiet, and the rocks glisten with secrets. Creatures of dual worlds. The intertidal is a place of resilience. Creatures here live in two worlds, water and air. They close their shells tightly to conserve moisture. They cling with strength to resist waves. They burrow into sand to avoid heat or cold. Adaptation is constant, for life here means change. Every few hours, a crab scuttles between rocks, quick and cautious. A sea star clings, unmoving, conserving energy. A snail drags its slow path across sand, leaving trails like silver etchings. All of them live by the rhythm of the tides, never questioning, never resisting. The night is quiet, and dual lives endure. Human eyes on the shore for coastal peoples. Low tide has always been a moment of opportunity. Shellfish gatherers, timed, their walks with it. Children explored tide pools, learning the ocean's secrets. Entire communities built traps in the intertidal. Stone walls that caught fish when the tide retreated. To walk ashore at low tide is to see the memory of generations etched into its stones. Paths worn by footsteps, baskets woven for collecting. Fires built to cook the harvest. All of these belong to the rhythm of withdrawal and return. The night is quiet. Footsteps echo in the sand. A pause in the ocean's breath. Low tide feels like an exhale. The ocean has stretched itself away, pausing before its inevitable return. The air smells of salt and seaweed. The sand is cool beneath bare feet. The horizon seems farther, the sea more distant. Yet, even in its retreat, the ocean remains present. Its pools glimmer, its creatures stir, its scent lingers. This pause is part of the breathing of the earth, a balance to the high tide's inhale. It is not absence, but preparation, a moment of stillness before the next arrival. The night is quiet, and the exhale lingers. Patterns in the sand as water retreats. The sand becomes a canvas. Ripple marks, carved by currents, shimmer like lines of calligraphy. Tiny holes mark where clams and worms have burrowed. Trails of crabs and snails etch patterns that will vanish when the tide returns. Each low tide redraws the sand surface. It is art made by water, erased and remade twice each day. To walk across it is to walk across fleeting memory, a page that never stays the same. The night is quiet, and the sand holds temporary stories. Birds of the retreat when the tide pulls. Away, birds arrive. Shorebirds probe wet sand with long beaks, finding worms and small crustaceans. Gulls wheel overhead, searching for fish stranded in pools. Even eagles and herons come to hunt at the edge of retreating waters. For them, low tide is a feast, an opening of opportunity. The ocean's rhythm writes their schedule. They do not wonder why it happens. They simply arrive when it does, confident in its repetition. The night is quiet, and wings beat softly over sand. Lessons of patience. Low tide teaches patience. Pools do not last forever. Dryness creeps into shells. Hunger waits in stomachs. All creatures endure, trusting in the certainty of return. This patience is not passive. It's adaptation, strategy, survival. For humans, too, low tide has long been a teacher. It reminds us that absence is temporary, that waiting is part of rhythm, that retreat is not the end, but a stage in a larger cycle. To see the ocean pull away is to remember that it always comes back. The night is quiet, patience glows in stillness. The power of withdrawal. It is tempting to think of power only in presence in storms, in high waves, in roaring surf. But low tide reveals another kind of power, The power of absence. By leaving, the ocean shows what it can cover, what it can claim. It defines the edge not only by arrival, but by retreat. In this absence, hidden worlds come alive. Creatures feed, humans gather, landscapes transform. Withdrawal itself becomes part of the ocean's influence, as significant as its arrival. The night is quiet, and even absence has power. Toward the next chapter, low tide is the unveiling, the pause, the retreat. It is the moment when the ocean steps back and life adapts to the space left behind. Rocks glisten, pools shimmer, sand tells fleeting stories. A low tide is not separate from high ed, is bound to it, woven into the larger dance of earth and moon. Together they form the balance, the steps of an ancient waltz. The night is quiet, and the dance between earth and moon begins to reveal itself. Asterisk, the tide does not belong to the ocean alone. It is not merely water rising and falling, but a story written in the relationship between earth and moon. Each motion of the sea echoes a larger rhythm, a dance choreographed by forces both intimate and immense. The earth spins steadily, completing one turn each day. The moon circles, slower, taking nearly a month to drift once around its companion. Gravity binds them together, invisible threads holding planet and satellite in a mutual embrace. The tides are not random. They are the footprints of this cosmic dance pressed into the fabric of the ocean. The night is quiet, and the partners move in silence. The pull of gravity is the lead in this dance. The moon, though small compared to Earth, exerts its steady pull. Water, being fluid, responds most readily. It leans toward the moon, stretching into a subtle bulge. At the same time, on the far side of the planet, inertia creates another bulge, a mirror of the first. Together, these form two high tides following the moon as Earth turns beneath them. This pull is not violent, it's patient, persistent, and endlessly repeated. Every moment of every day, the moon tugs and Earth answers. This simple pull shapes the rhythm of coastlines across the globe. The night is quiet, and the pull continues without pause. Earth's steady spins. Earth rotates. The bulges of water do not stay fixed beneath the moon. Instead, they appear to move, sweeping across the planet's surface. This creates the twice-daily rhythm of rising and falling seas. From the perspective of a beach, it feels as though the tide comes and goes. From the perspective of the planet, it is Earth turning steadily beneath the moon's gaze. The spin adds tempo to the dance, setting the pace of the tides. It is like a dancer's steps, regular and unbroken, guiding the sway of the ocean. The night is quiet, and the Earth keeps turning. The moon, as partner the moon, does not only lead, also follows. Earth's gravity holds the moon in orbit, shaping its path. The same pull that raises tides also locks the moon's face toward Earth, so that one side always looks down, eternal and familiar. The moon moves because of Earth, and Earth moves because of the moon. Their dance is mutual, inseparable. Every tide is a reminder of this partnership. Every wave is a small echo of their shared gravity, repeated endlessly. The night is quiet, and the partnership endures. A dance older than memory, this rhythm is ancient, older than life itself. Long before forests grew or animals walked the land, tides moved across Earth's seas. They were stronger then, for the moon was closer. But the sun's role reminds us it is a trio, a harmony of three. Earth turns beneath them, oceans pliant to both nearby and distant pulls. The result is not noise, but order, layered rhythms playing across centuries. In this way, tides are less like music with a single melody, and more like a symphony with themes overlapping, swelling, receding. The sun is not the lead violin, but the deep bass, shaping tone and depth. The night is quiet, and the symphony continues. Tides in different places. The effect of the sun is felt differently across Earth's oceans. In narrow bays, its influence sharpens the contrast between spring and neap. In wide open seas, the difference is gentler. Local geography amplifies or softens the sun's hand, making each coastline a unique stage for the celestial trio. No two shores are the same, yet all are shaped by the same combination of pulls. The ocean responds everywhere, though never identically. Diversity itself becomes part of the rhythm. The night is quiet, and each shore sings its variation. Human lives shaped by sun and moon, together entire cultures have lived by the dual rhythm of sun and moon. Festivals timed with full moons coincide with high tides. Cultural calendars align with neap tides for planting. Sailors read both sky and water, watching how the sun's path and moon's phase combine. Even modern lives feel this partnership. Coastal engineering, shipping routes, energy production through tidal power require awareness of both forces. Our technology does not replace the rhythm. It listens to it, adapts to it. The night is quiet, and human life moves to the same. Music, a balance of forces the sun, reminds us that balance is the essence of tides. Alignment creates power. Opposition creates gentleness. Both are necessary. Both are part of the cycle. Without the sun, tides would be smaller, less varied. Without the moon, they would be weaker, more uniform. Together, they create richness. This balance is not random, but natural, woven into the mechanics of gravity. It is not chaos, but equilibrium, always adjusting, always steady. The night is quiet, and balance hums through the water. The suns, larger, roll beyond tides. The sun anchors Earth's orbit, holds the planets in place, warms the seas, and powers all weather. Its tidal pull is just one thread in a vast fabric of influence. Yet this single thread is enough to shape daily life at every shore, to imagine a world without. The sun's tidal contribution is to imagine silence, missing half its harmony. The moon alone would hum, but the sun adds depth, resonance, variation. Together, they form completeness. The night is quiet. It's court, the next chapter. The sun's influence joins the moon's, weaving a tide that breathes daily, monthly, and seasonally. Together, they pull, combine, oppose, soften, swell. The ocean records their duet faithfully, its surface a living score. Yet tides are not only the work of sun and moon. They are also the breath of the ocean itself, inhaling and exhaling twice each day. To stand at a shore is to feel this daily breathing. The planet's patient exhale and inhale. The night is quiet, and the sea prepares to breathe again. Asterisk, the oceans do not speak with voices, yet they breathe. Their breath is not like ours, measured in quick, shallow rhythms, but long and slow to movements, each day, repeated without fail. Twice in every turn of earth, the waters expand outward, then draw back again. The tide rises, the tide falls. It is the breathing of a planet, soft and eternal. The moon is the closest partner in this rhythm, tugging at the oceans with its quiet gravity. The sun, too, from far away, adds its hand to the pattern. But the daily cycle, the twice daily breath, belongs to the sea itself. Every shore feels it. Every harbor waits for it. Every creature of the coast moves with it. The night is quiet, and the breathing continues. The inhale, when the tide is rising, it feels like the sea is leaning forward. Waves climb higher, beaches shrink beneath water, and rocks vanish under foam. To stand at a shore during this rising is to feel the ocean draw a deep breath inward. This inhale does not rush. It is patient, gradual, spread over hours, yet the difference is undeniable. A fisherman setting nets at dawn sees the water push higher by midday. A child playing on sand finds the same patch submerged by evening. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the ocean draws in. The night is quiet, and the inhale goes on. The exhales. High tide passes. The ocean begins to release. Its waters slide back, exposing sand that was hidden, uncovering pools that glisten with stranded creatures. The exhale is not defeat, but return, a letting go. For coastal life, this moment is just as vital as the inhale. Birds descend to feed on crabs left bare. Fish retreat with the receding water. Humans walk out across revealed flats to gather shellfish. The sea's exhale is a gift, revealing what it once concealed. The night is quiet, and the exhale repeats. The clock that never stops the breathing of the sea is older than memory, older than life itself. From the moment the moon was captured in orbit, tides began. Twice a day, every day, they have continued. Civilizations have come and gone, but the tides have not faltered. This clock is steadier than any we build. Pendulums stop, batteries fade. Digital signals fail, but the tide keeps time. Its breath never shortens, never speeds. It is the patient metronome of Earth, repeating endlessly. The night is quiet, and the clock ticks in silence. Creatures of the rhythm entire ecosystems live by this breath. Mussels close their shells as the water withdraws, then open again as it returns. Barnacles grip rocks through the dry hours, then feed when waves return. Shore crabs scuttle with the tide, hiding when the water falls, venturing out when it rises. Birds time their flights with it, swooping in at low tide to catch what the sea has left. Even large mammal seals, dolphins approach coastlines, guided by this twice daily breath. Life listens closely, as though the tide itself were a heartbeat, steady and unavoidable. The night is quiet, and life follows the rhythm. Human lives, entwined for as long as people have lived near the sea, they too have listened to its breath. Ancient fishermen waited for high tide to carry boats outward. Farmers in tidal plains planted rice in fields that flooded with the moon's pull. Sailors timed journeys with the opening of tidal gates. Even today, cities by the ocean planned by the tide. Harbors schedule ships by its rise and fall. Coastal engineers design walls and levees in response. Energy projects capture the movement of water, turning the tide's inhale and exhale into power. The night is quiet, and humanity still bends to the sea. The scale of the breath, though tides happen twice each day. Their timing is never identical, because Earth turns while the moon moves in orbit. Each high tide arrives about 50 minutes later than the day before. The breath of the sea shifts gently, like a song whose refrain changes key. For those who live by the coast, this shift is second nature. No one expects the tide at the same hour each day. Instead, they trust the slow drift. The way the ocean keeps time differently from the clocks on our walls. The night is quiet, and the timing slides forward. Patterns within patterns. The daily breath is only the surface of deeper cycles. Spring tides arrive with a new moon and full moon, swelling the inhale higher. Tebe tides come during quarter moons, softening the breath. October seasons. Earth's tilt and distance from the sun shift the tides further. To see the sea is to see. Layers of breath stacked together, daily, monthly, yearly. The inhale and exhale happen always, yet their height and depth vary. The rhythm is steady, but never the same. It is repetition with variation, pattern nested within pattern. The night is quiet, and patterns fold into each other. A patient teacher, the daily breathing of the sea, has taught patience to those who observe it. For children playing on beaches, it shows the slowness of time, how hours change the face of sand and water. For sailors, it demonstrates respect, reminding them that harbors open and close, not by will, but by rhythm. It teaches that cycles are more important than moments, that what is hidden will return, that what leaves will arrive again. The night is quiet, and the lesson is endless, the science of the breath, though it feels like magic. The daily breath of tides is the result of simple physics. The moon pulls water into a bulge on the side of Earth that faces it. On the far side, inertia's the tendency of water to keep moving creates a second bulge. As Earth rotates, these bulges sweep across the planet, bringing high tide to coastlines in turn. It is not storm, not wave, but shift, a global movement of oceans flowing in silent response to forces beyond our sight. The night is quiet, and science unfolds in poetry. Shorelines written in breath, every coastline bears the marks of this breathing. Cliffs carved by the constant return of waves. Estuaries shaped by the ebb and flow of brackish water. Sandbars and deltas grown from centuries of repeated rise and fall. What seems permanent, the shape of land. The edge of sea is actually flexible, rewritten daily, slowly. With each breath, the line between water and land shifts. Over centuries, entire landscapes are formed by the sea's patient exhale. The night is quiet, and the shore is rewritten. The comfort of continuity. In a world of change, tides offer comfort. They are never absent, never broken. Even when storms rage, even when seas rise with climate, the daily breath continues. High tide comes, low tide follows. It is a reassurance, older than humanity, that some patterns are eternal. The inhale and exhale of the ocean will outlast empires, languages, even species. It is continuity made visible, touchable, reliable. The night is quiet and continuity flows. The breath as metaphor. It is no wonder poets and philosophers have compared tides to breath, to heartbeats, to the rhythms of life itself. To watch the sea rise and fall is to see life written in water. The ocean, vast as it is, shares something with the smallest creature, a need to inhale, a need to exhale. This metaphor is not just poetic, but real. The breath of the ocean shapes ecosystems, nourishes life, and guides existence. It is rhythm, not of image, but of necessity. The night is quiet, and metaphors come alive. Toward the next chapter, the daily breathing of the sea is gentle, patient, eternal, Yet behind this softness lies a force, the quiet insistence of gravity itself. The moon and sun tug invisibly, shaping every inhale, every exhale. Gravity, though silent, is the hidden ruler, the hand behind the breath. The night is quiet, and gravity waits to be seen. Gravity cannot be seen. It has no color, no sound, no scent. It governs the very shape of the world, holds oceans in their basins, keeps the air wrapped close to earth, and draws each wave back toward the shore. In the tides, its power is revealed not through noise or drama, but through the slow and patient motion of water, rising and falling day after day. The pull of gravity is not violent. It is subtle, a quiet persuasion. The moon tugs, the sun adds its hand, and earth itself holds steady at the plea. Center, the ocean answers, not with chaos, but with rhythm, leaning toward the invisible hand, then slowly retreating. The tides we see are not merely water in motion, but the constant echo of gravity's whisper. The night is quiet, and the pull remains. The quiet ruler, every force in nature has its own signature. Fire crackles, wind roars, water splashes. Gravity alone rules in silence. It does not shout to announce itself. It does not blaze across the sky like lightning or shake the ground like thunder. Instead, it simply is steady, constant, unavoidable. It was there when planets formed, gathering dust into rocks, rocks into worlds. It was there when oceans pooled into basins, pulled downward by Earth's own mass. It was there when the moon was captured in orbit, its pull balanced against momentum. Today, it remains everywhere, always active, always binding. The night is quiet, and the ruler speaks without voice. Oceans, as evidence, though we cannot see gravity itself, we see its work most clearly in the oceans. Water is free to move, unlike the solid ground. When the moon pulls, the ocean stretches, forming bulges. When Earth rotates, these bulges sweep across the planet. The result is the tide, familiar and eternal. Without gravity, the seas would not cling to Earth at all. They would drift away into space, dispersing like mist. Instead, they remain, held close, shaped by invisible curves. Every wave that touches a beach, every swell that rises offshore, sculpted by gravity's steady hand. The night is quiet, and the evidence surrounds us. A universal embrace. Gravity is not limited to oceans or Earth. It extends across the cosmos, binding planets to stars, stars into galaxies, galaxies into clusters. It is the architecture of the universe, unseen, yet everywhere. Without it, there will be no orbits, no suns, no spiral arms of starlight. And yet, the same law that bends galaxies is the one that guides a tide on a quiet shore. The immense and the intimate are governed by the same principle. When the moon pulls at a bay, it is not a small or local event. It is the same universal embrace that binds the cosmos itself. The night is quiet, and the embrace is endless. Gravity's patience, southern forces act quickly. Electricity sparks in an instant. Magnetism pulls iron with visible strength. But gravity is patient. It builds its influence over time, steady and persistent. A tide does not leap forward. It leans. It sways. The ocean takes hours to rise, hours to fall. This patience is deceptive. Though gravity feels gentle, its strength accumulates. Over millennia, tides carve coasts, shaping cliffs and valleys. Over eons, gravity bends the paths of worlds. K's mile lies not in speed, but in constancy. It never stops. It never sleeps. The night is quiet, and the patience never ends. The hidden hand. Too many ancient observers. Tides seemed mysterious. The connection to the moon was not obvious at first, but slowly, with careful watching, people noticed the pattern now. The sea rose higher during full moons, how it shifted with the lunar cycle. They began to see the hidden hand of gravity, linking sky and sea in one rhythm. Even today, though science explains the mechanism, the sense of mystery remains. To watch a tide rise is to feel the pull of something invisible, something larger than ourselves. It is the reminder that we live within a force field that cannot be escaped. The night is quiet. The hidden hand continues. Shaping shoreline as free coast in the world is the result of gravity's work. Tides move sand, deposit silt, erode stone. The shape of bays, the spread of deltas, the carving of estuaries all are sculpted by the endless pull. Gravity does not simply hold oceans in place. It rewrites the map of the world, and this rewriting is never complete. Each day, as the tide flows in and out, shorelines shift a little more. Some changes are visible within a lifetime. Others take centuries. But always, quietly, gravity redraws the border between land and sea. The night is quiet, and the shoreline changes with every pull. The pull on air and land, though. Tides are most visible in oceans. Gravity's pull touches air and land as well. The atmosphere bulges slightly beneath the moon, its gases shifting in rhythm. Even solid ground rises and falls a few centimeters as Earth flexes beneath the pull. We do not feel it, but it happens, stone bending, soil moving, sky drifting, all in obedience to gravity's command. This universality reminds us gravity does not discriminate. It acts on everything with mass, from grains of sand to mountains, from droplets of water to entire oceans. Nothing escapes its reach. The night is quiet, and everything moves together. The moon's soft authority all forces on Earth. The moon's pull is gentle, yet its influence is profound. It does not tear oceans apart. It does not shake the planet violently. Instead, it nudges, and water responds. That nudge, multiplied by oceans vast as continents, becomes tides that shape life itself. This authority is not loud but steady. It is soft power, exerted in silence, repeated endlessly. The moon does not need to announce itself. K speaks for it twice each day, everywhere on Earth. The night is quiet, K, and the authority endures. Gravity and life. Without gravity, life as we know it would not exist. Water would not stay close. Atmospheres would not cling. Planets would not orbit stars in stable warmth. Gravity is the stage on which all biology performs. In the tides specifically, gravity creates habitats that would otherwise not exist. Mudflats, exposed at low tide, host creatures adapted to both water and air. Estuaries, nurtured by tidal flows, provide nurseries for fish and birds. Entire ecosystems rise and fall because of gravity's gentle insistence. The night is quiet, and life thrives in its embrace. The illusion of stillness standing on solid ground. It feels as though nothing moves. The soil beneath us seems fixed, unchanging. Yet beneath this illusion, gravity is always at work. Earth itself pulls inward, holding mountains upright, keeping rivers flowing downhill, guiding raindrops toward the sea. The stability we take for granted is actually the constant action of gravity. Even our own bodies are shaped by its bones, strengthened against its pull, muscles toned to resist it. Without gravity, we would float, unanchored, fragile. What feels like stillness is actually balance maintained by invisible force. The night is quiet, and stillness is an illusion. Toward the next chapter, gravity explains the tides, but tides do not follow instantly. Oceans hesitate, slowed by friction, by continents, by the sheer inertia of water. The moon commands, but the reply is delayed. This lag creates complexity in the rhythm, a kind of pause in the breathing of the sea. The night is quiet, and the delayed reply is about to begin. Asterisk, the moon gives its command with every moment. Its gravity stretching across space, tugging at the oceans. Yet the seas do not obey immediately. They respond, but not all at once. The reply comes slowly, delayed by the friction of water, by the resistance of continents, by the inertia of the oceans themselves. This delay is gentle, not jarring. It does not break the rhythm, but becomes part of it, shaping the tides into what we know. The moon pulls, Earth rotates, the seas hesitate, and then they answer. The cycle is not instant, but patient. The night is quiet, and the reply begins. The weight of water is heavy, unimaginably so. A single cubic meter weighs a ton. When we imagine entire oceans shifting, rising, and falling under the moon's pull, we see why response is not immediate. The seas resist, not because they refuse, but because their mass is vast. It takes time for movement to spread across a basin, to push into bays, to climb onto shores. This delay is not error, but nature. It is inertial water continuing in its own motion, even as the moon calls it onward. Like a great ship turning slowly at sea, the oceans cannot pivot instantly. They must lean, shift, adjust. The night is quiet, and the oceans move in their own time. The roll of friction beneath the surface. The sea rubs against the seafloor. Along coasts, water collides with land. This friction slows the tide, reshaping its rhythm. Without friction, the seas might rise and fall directly beneath the moon, sharp and exact. But because of resistance, the bulges drift ahead or behind, depending on geography. In this way, continents sculpt the tide as much as the moon does. Every bay, every river mouth, every undersea ridge delays or redirects the pool. What looks simple from space or bulge following the moonies, on Earth, a complex dance of hesitation. The night is quiet, and friction softens the command. A global conversation because the oceans are connected. The delay in one place influences another. A tide arriving late in the Atlantic may ripple onward into the Arctic. The Pacific, vast and wide, enters even more slowly, taking hours to move from one side to the other. The Earth becomes a network of replies, a conversation spread across the globe, each part answering at its own pace. This global reply gives tides their variety. Some coasts fill 2 tides each day, others only 1. Some places rise by centimeters, others by meters. The delay creates diversity, shaping the world's waters into countless local rhythms, all part of the same great reply. The night is quiet, and the conversation continues. The moon's command. The ocean's hesitation. It is tempting to imagine the moon as a conductor, raising its hand and expecting the orchestra to play. But the ocean is not a violin string, ready to sing at once. It is a deep, heavy instrument, one that responds slowly, notes swelling after the gesture, sound carrying, long after the bow has moved. This hesitation is not disobedience. It is the natural timing of water, the natural scale of Earth. In the pause lies the beauty. The tide does not strike. It unfolds. The night is quiet, and the hesitation becomes harmony, evidence in shoreline's walk along a coast, and you can see the delay written in sand. A high tide may not occur when the moon is directly overhead, but hours later. Low tide may arrive long after the moon has moved on. Each beach tells its own version of this story, its timing shifted by friction, shape, and depth to those who live by the sea. This delay is second nature. Fishermen know when water will truly rise, not just when the moon is high. Farmers and tidal plains plan by the actual rhythm, not the theoretical one. Human life has adjusted not to the command of the moon, but to the reply of the ocean. The night is quiet. The shoreline holds the memory of delay. The earth itself answers slowly. The ocean is not alone in this hesitation. Even Earth's crust shifts under the pull of the moon and sun. Land, too, rises and falls, though only by centimeters, and even more slowly than the water above. The whole planet lags in its reply, bending, adjusting, leaning into the pull. This planetary hesitation is why days lengthen over millennia, as tides drag against Earth. They slow its spin. The reply of oceans resists rotation, transferring energy outward, pushing the moon farther away. The delay is not just in water. It is in the heartbeat of the Earth itself. The night is quiet, so the whole planet answers late. Life adapts to delay. Creatures of the shore have adapted not to the moon's timing, but to the ocean's. Mussels close their shells in anticipation, not of the moon's highest point, but of when the tide actually leaves. Crabs scuttle when the water has withdrawn, not when the moon commands. Birds swoop down when sand is revealed, not when the celestial conductor lifts its hand. Even humans, over centuries, have learned this. Ancient tide tables noted not just lunar phases, but the local delays of harbors. Navigation required knowledge of when water would truly rise. The hesitation became predictable, part of the rhythm itself. The night is quiet, and life thrives in the pause. The poetry of lack there is a strange poetry and the idea that the ocean is always a little late, that its reply comes not instantly but after thought, after pause. The sea listens, then considers, then answers. This delay softens the rhythm, turning a sharp command into a gentle song. The lag is not failure, but music. It transforms the mechanics of gravity into something humanly familiar: rhythm with syncopation, pattern with subtle delay. The sea hesitates, and in that hesitation lies its grace. The night is quiet, and poetry lingers in the waters. Reply the world in synchrony even with all its delays. The ocean remains in synchrony with the moon. Its hesitation is measured, not random. Though the tide may arrive hours after the command, it always arrives. The ocean never fails to answer. This synchrony, stretched across the globe, is astonishing. Billions of tons of water, delayed by continents and slowed by friction, still rise and fall in rhythm with a distant satellite. The world hums together, each part replying at its own pace, but always within the same song. The night is quiet, and synchrony binds the hesitation. Humans, as participants, when we walk along coasts, we too become part of this reply. Our footsteps mark the wet sand left by a retreating tide. Our harbors fill and empty with the ocean's delay. Our calendars and clocks bend to the hesitation, acknowledging that human time must yield to planetary time. We, like crabs and mussels, live by the pause. We too have learned patience, trusting the reply will come, even if not when commanded. The night is quiet, and humanity answers in kind. A force of balance, the delay serves a purpose. If oceans moved instantly with the moon, energy would be wasted in sudden shifts, chaos in constant motion. Instead, friction slows, inertia balances, hesitation distributes the force. The delay smooths the tides, turning them into something steady, manageable, livable. This balance shows us something profound. Slowness is not weakness, but stability. The hesitation of oceans creates the harmony of coasts, the safety of ecosystems, the rhythm of daily life. The night is quiet, and balance hums through hesitation. Toward the next chapter, the ocean's delayed reply is shaped not only by friction and inertia, but by the shape of land itself. Bays funnel water, harbors amplify the rise, continents block and redirect the pull. Each delay is local, unique, crafted by geography. The night is quiet. The shapes of coasts prepare their answer. Asterisk, the moon pulls at every ocean on Earth. Its gravity stretches water into long, slow bulges. Yet, the sea does not rise equally. Everywhere, on some shores, the tide comes gently, climbing by only a hand's width. On others, it swells by many meters, flooding harbors, uncovering vast mudflats, reshaping coasts each day. The difference lies in geography. Land and sea together create a stage on which the tide performs. Bays funnel, harbors amplify, estuaries deepen the rhythm. A narrow channel may turn a subtle rise into a dramatic surge. A wide plain may reduce the pull into something barely felt. The moon commands, but the land interprets. The night is quiet, and the interpretation begins. The funnel effect: imagine a vast ocean wave, hundreds of kilometers long, moving toward land. As it enters a bay, the space narrows. The water, still immense in volume, must rise higher to pass through. This is the funnel effect, the reason why some coasts experience extreme tides in places like the Bay of Fundy in Canada. The funnel is so dramatic that tides can rise more than 15 meters between low and high. Twice each day, the ocean rushes inward, filling valleys, lifting ships to the tops of wharves. Then, just as slowly, it retreats, leaving fishing boats resting on mud. The moon's pull is the same as elsewhere, but geography magnifies it into spectacle. The night is quiet. Funnels deepen the tide's voice. Harbors as amplifiers, harbors to become amplifiers of the moon's command. They're enclosed spaces, trap and release water, exaggerating the rise and fall. Some harbors resonate with the tide's natural rhythm, like instruments tuned to a note. When this resonance matches the lunar cycle, the amplification is striking. Sailors have long known this. They read tide tables not only for oceans, but for individual harbors, each with its own peculiar pattern. A ship entering one bay may find calm water, while another only kilometers away must wait for deep tide to cross the bar. The difference is not in the moon's pool, but in the harbor's shape, its depth, its hidden echoes. The night is quiet, and harbors sing their own reply. Estuaries in motion where rivers meet the sea. Estuaries join the tide. Fresh water flows outward, salt water pushes inward. Twice each day, the two exchange places, mingling in layers. The narrowing channels and sloping beds of estuaries amplify tidal ranges. Sometimes dramatically, these amplified tides carve wide mudflats, nurseries for countless species. Birds feed, fish spawn, plants root in shifting sediment. Human life, too, depends on these amplified tides, for they enrich soil, transport silt, and provide fertile deltas. The tide's surge, shaped by geography, becomes the foundation of life. The night is quiet, and estuaries trade their gifts in rhythm. Gentle shores, not all coasts experience such grandeur. On wide open shores, the tide spreads its energy over vast distances. The rise is subtle, sometimes only centimeters, barely perceptible without careful instruments. Here, the ocean's pull feels like a sigh rather than a breath, yet even gentle. Tides matter. They circulate nutrients, guide migrations, refresh coastal waters. Their subtlety hides their importance. Every tide, whether grand or quiet, is part of the same global rhythm, softly repeating across Earth. The night is quiet, okay? And even the smallest tides whisper. Local signatures. Each coastline carries its own tidal signature. Some rise once a day, others twice. Some follow the moon closely, others lag hours behind. Geography, friction, depth, and resonance shape each place uniquely. For those who live by the sea, these signatures are as familiar as seasons. Fishermen know which inlets flood quickly, which bays empty slowly. Children playing on beaches learn where water will return, even if the moon is hidden by clouds. The ocean speaks differently in every harbor, but always in the same language of rise and fall. The night is quiet, and the signatures remain. The Bay of Fundy among Earth's coasts. The Bay of Fundy is legend. Its geography creates the highest tides on the planet. Twice each day, water surges inward, rising higher than a building. The funnel-shaped bay, narrowing as it deepens, forces the ocean to climb. The effect is amplified by resonance. The bay's length matches the natural timing of the tide, like a swing pushed at the perfect moment. Each new tide adds to the motion of the last, magnifying the rise. The result is a spectacle unmatched anywhere else. Proof of how geography magnifies the moon's quiet pull. The night is quiet, and Fundy roars with silence. Mont Saint Michel cross the ocean. Another famous tide transforms Mont Saint Michel in France. The medieval abbey, perched on a rocky island, becomes unreachable at high tide, surrounded entirely by sea. Hours later, the water retreats, exposing wide sands that stretch to the horizon. Here too, the funnel effect and resonance amplify the tide. For centuries, pilgrims timed their journeys to the rhythm of the moon, crossing sands only when the tide allowed. The abbey stands as a reminder that even human devotion bends to the ocean's amplified pull. the night is quiet, and Mont Saint Michel waits for the sea's return. Life in amplified tides. Where tides are strongest, life adapts in unique ways. Mussels cling more tightly. Barnacles grow in dense bands. Fish follow tidal surges into estuaries rich with food. Birds time their migrations to seasons when mudflats are exposed. Humans to adapt. Cicada. Cities build walls and gates. Ships anchor by tidal tables. Farmers flood fields with predictable surges. Amplified tides create challenges, but they also create abundance. The energy of the ocean, concentrated by geography, becomes life-giving. The night is quiet, and life thrives in the swell. Energy in the surging modern times. Amplified tides are seen not only as a challenge, but as opportunity. Engineers design turbines to capture tidal energy, using the predictable rise and fall to generate electricity. Unlike winds or storms, tides never fail. They are patient, eternal, softly repeating. Bays and harbors that once challenged sailors may one day power cities. The moon's ancient pull, magnified by geography, becomes energy for light and warmth. The tide itself, amplified, becomes a bridge between nature and human need. The night is quiet, and energy waits and the waters rise. The balance of geography, amplified tides, remind us that nature is not uniform. The same moon pulls equally across Earth, yet geography shapes the result. Some coasts whisper, others roar. Some harbors remain still, others surge with power. The balance of land and sea creates infinite variation from one simple force. In this, there's beauty. The world is not monotonous, but diverse, each bay and harbor offering its own reply. The moon gives one command. Earth answers with many voices. The night is quiet, and the chorus continues. Lessons in delay and amplification cannot be separated from delay. The same friction and inertia that slow tides also shape how they resonate in bays. Water hesitates, then surges. The pause becomes the reason for the rise. Without delay, there would be no amplification. This interplay is the essence of tide's hesitation, turning into power. Geography transforming a quiet pool into spectacle. The moon commands, the earth resists, and in the space between arises beauty. The night is quiet, and hesitation becomes song. Toward the next chapter, bays and harbors remind us that tides are not only physical, but ecological. They shape not just coastlines, but lives. Creatures depend on the amplified rhythm, building their existence around its timing. From barnacles to seabirds, life itself is tuned to the tide. The night is quiet, and creatures wait for the moon's return. Asterisk, the sea pulls back, then returns. Twice each day, the shoreline changes, and with it, life itself shifts. Creatures know this rhythm better than any clock. It is written into their muscles, their habits, their instincts. They are the children of the tide, living by the moon's command. The moon does not speak with sound, but its pull is unmistakable. When water rises, fish glide inland, carried into estuaries rich with food. When it falls, shore crabs emerge, scraping algae and scavenging what the waves have left. Barnacles close tightly at retreat, then open again when the water rises. Each movement is part of a silent choreography rehearsed for millions of years. The night is quiet, and the choreography continues. The crabs of the shoreline coasts across the world. Crabs live by the clock of the tide. They scuttle sideways across wet sand, leaving prints like hieroglyphs. At low tide, they hurry to feed, scraping algae from rocks, digging for worms, stealing scraps left by the sea. When the tide rises, they retreat to burrows or cling tightly to crevices, waiting until the water settles again. Their armor is strong, but it cannot resist waves forever. Instead, they time their lives to the moon's pull. To watch crabs is to watch the tide in miniature, constant, patient, softly repeating. The night is quiet. Claws tap against stone. Barnacles. In bands, barnacles seem unmoving, yet they too are children of the tide. Fixed to rocks, they form thick white bands along shorelines, their position determined by the highest reach of water. Twice a day, they open like flowers, feathery appendages sweeping plankton from the water. Twice a day, they close the ceiling, tight to keep precious moisture inside. These creatures live at the edge of endurance. Caves, they survive scorching sun, freezing air, and the crush of waves. Their patience is endless, their rhythm exact. The moon calls, the water rises, and they open. The moon withdraws, the water falls, and they close. The night is quiet, and barnacles breathe in rhythm. Fish following the flood when the tide pushes inland. Fish follow. Small ones ride currents into estuaries, feeding on plankton stirred by mixing waters. Larger ones hunt them, turning each tidal surge into a feast. The pattern repeats endlessly. Retreat, advance, retreat again. For salmon, tides guide entire migrations. In estuaries where river meets sea, tides provide signals for young fish to move from fresh water to salt. The shift is gradual, timed by the moon's steady command. Life and movement, hunger and journey, all written by the tide. The night is quiet, and fins cut through shallow water. Cabirds and feeding grounds above. Seabirds circle. They wait for the retreat, knowing low tide reveals mudflats rich with worms, crabs, and clams. Long-beaked sandpipers probe wet sand. Gulls scavenge stranded fish. Herons stand motionless, spearing prey in tidal pools. Their feeding is not random. It is clockwork tied to the moon. Twice each day, the table is laid before them. Twice each day, it disappears beneath the water again. Generations of birds, migrations across continents, all follow this same rhythm. The night is quiet, and wings beat softly over tide pools. Creatures of the mudflat one tides retreat far enough. Vast mudflats emerge. To the casual eye, they appear empty, but beneath the surface, life abounds. Worms burrow, clams filter, shrimp wriggle. Each is adapted to a world that appears and disappears in hours. Mudflatsr larders for countless species. Migrating birds stop to gorge themselves, building fat reserves for journeys that span oceans. Without the tide's exposure of these flats, migrations would falter, journeys would end. The tide sustains not just one place, but entire hemispheres of life. The night is quiet, and mud holds hidden abundance. The coral clock in tropical seas, corals to live by lunar rhythm. Once a year, often synchronized with tides and moonlight, corals release their eggs and sperm into the water. The timing is exact, a massive event across entire reefs. This synchronicity ensures survival. When countless corals release at once, predators cannot consume everything. The moon, through its influence on tides and light, orchestrates this silent festival of reproduction. Even reefs, ancient and patient, bow to its command. The night is quiet, and reefs shimmer with new beginnings. The fragile dance of sea turtles, too, are tied to tides. Females crawl ashore under cover of night, choosing moments when high tides shortens their journey across sand. They dig nests, lay eggs, and retreat before dawn. Weeks later, hatchlings emerge. For them, tides are lifelines. The rising water draws predators away, giving hatchlings better chances to reach the sea. The rhythm of the moon, pulling at water, protects fragile life. The night is quiet, and small flippers strike the sand. Humans and the tide's creatures' human life has always followed this ecosystemic clock. Coastal peoples timed shellfish gathering to the lowest tides, when mussels and clams lay exposed. Fish traps, built of stone, caught prey as tides withdrew. Farmers used tidal flooding to irrigate fields in deltas. Even today, fishermen read tide tables with care. They know which hours bring shrimp inland, which hours reveal oysters, which hours let boats cross shallow bars. The tide shapes not just wilderness, but culture. It is a quiet guide for livelihoods. The night is quiet, and boats rest at anchor, waiting. Ancient and eternal creatures of the tide have lived by this rhythm for millions of years. Fossils show crabs scuttling along ancient shores. Shell beds reveal tidal cycles frozen in stone. Even long-extinct ammonites once rode currents in seas pulled by the moon. The moon itself was closer then. Tides surged higher, waves stronger. Creatures adapted to that intensity, just as today they adapt to gentler pulls. Life has always bent to the ocean's rhythm. The night is quiet, and the fossils still speak. The pulse beneath all things, the wonder of tidal creatures, is not only in their adaptation, but in their universality. From Arctic shores to tropical mangroves, from mudflats to coral reefs, life follows the moon. The pulse of the tide is older than language, older than civilization. It is the heartbeat of coasts. Every claw raised, every shell closed, every bird's beak probing sand beach is a note in this endless song. The tide composes it, softly, insistently, across ages. The night is quiet, and the song continues. Toward the next chapter, creatures live by tides, but their rhythm is not random. Beneath it lies a force, patient and invisible. It is not water alone, but gravity itself, shaping movement, commanding silence. The hidden power behind every barnacle, every fish, every bird is gravity's pull. The night is quiet, and the hidden power waits to be seen. Asterisk gravity is a ruler that never shows its face. It has no sound, no color, no scent. It does not arrive with warning, nor does it depart. It is simply there, patient and constant, touching everything without being seen. In the tides, gravity reveals its hand. The ocean swells toward the moon, not in rushing waves, but in slow bulges spread across thousands of kilometers. It is a response so steady, so soft, that it feels like the planet itself is breathing. Yet this quiet motion, this rise and fall of water, is born from one of the most powerful forces in the universe. The night is quiet, and gravity waits beneath every wave. The gentle pull. When we think of gravity, we imagine falling. An apple from a branch, a stone dropped into a pond, a body pulled toward Earth's surface. But gravity is more than falling. It is connection. It is the invisible tether that binds matter to matter, planet to moon, moon to earth, earth to sun. This tether stretches outward across space, not broken by emptiness, not diminished by silence. The moon tugs on Earth, and though its pull is small compared to Earth's own, it is steady. It pulls at rock and soil, at air and ocean alike. But water, fluid and patient, shows the effect most clearly. It leans toward the moon, obedient yet unhurried. The night is quiet, and the tether holds us close. The universe held together. Gravity is not only an earthly presence, it is the architecture of the universe itself. Stars form because clouds of gas fall inward, drawn together by gravity's call. Planets gather from dust, held into spheres by this same invisible hand. Galaxies spiral because their stars are bound by gravity's quiet insistence. Without it, there would be no orbits, no worlds, no tides, no time as we know it. The oceans rise and fall because the moon's pull is strongest on water. But the truth is larger. Gravity shapes not only tides, but the cosmos. The soft pull at a seashell on the beach is the same force that binds the Milky Way. The night is quiet, and the cosmos leans inward. The Earth's response does not resist gravity, responds. When the moon pulls on the ocean, Earth itself stretches slightly, rock flexing by tiny amounts. The water shows the motion most vividly, but the whole planet bends in rhythm. This is why tides are not simply waves, but global bulges. One bulge faces the moon, drawn toward it. Another forms on the opposite side, born from Earth's own movement as it shifts around a shared center of gravity. The result is two high tides each day, a mirror of balance between planet and satellite. The night is quiet, and the bulges breathe in time. Gravity and delay, though gravity commands. The ocean does not respond instantly. Water hesitates. Friction with seafloor and coastlines slows its obedience. Continents redirect its flow. The tide lags behind the moon as though pausing to catch its breath. Yet even in delay, gravity wins. The ocean must answer. This delay is part of the rhythm itself. Without hesitation, there would be no resonance in bays, no amplification of harbors, no richness of estuaries. Delay turns a silent pool into living complexity. The night is quiet, and hesitation deepens the song. Creatures that feel what we cannot, humans, sense gravity as weight, the press of the ground against the feet. But many creatures feel more subtle signs. Microscopic plankton drift upward and downward with the tidal pull, their internal rhythms synced to gravity's influence. Migrating birds, whales, and even bacteria navigate by sensing the field of Earth, guided by forces unseen. Gravity is not a roar, it is a whisper. Yet life has learned to listen. Barnacles closing, fish moving, seabirds feeding, all are answers to the moon's quiet voice carried through gravity. The night is quiet, and the whisper spreads through every living thing. The shield of gravity not only pulls, but protects. It holds the atmosphere close, wrapping Earth in air that would otherwise drift away into space. It keeps oceans pressed to the surface instead of escaping into the void. It binds us to warmth, to water, to life itself. Even the sun's energy, which powers winds and tides, depends on gravity. Fusion within the sun is born from gravity's crush, pressure forcing atoms to merge and release light. The tides on Earth are echoes, not just of the moon, but of a universe where gravity kindles stars. The night is quiet, and gravity guards. The world taught a force with no voicing like wind, which rustles leaves or rain, which patters on stone. Gravity makes no sound, leaves no mark, no trail. Its presence is known only through motion, the orbit of a moon, the rise of a tide, the curve of a planet's path around its star. In this silence lies its power. Gravity does not need to announce itself. It simply is. Its quietness is not absence, but authority, commanding without voice. The moon pulls, the ocean answers, and life bends to the command. Whether it notices or not, the night is quiet, and the silence holds us all. Gravity, imbalanced gravity, is not infinite in strength. It balances with other force is centrifugal motion, pressure, inertia. The tides are not the ocean crashing into the moon, but a balance between pull and motion, attraction and resistance. This balance is delicate, yet it repeats endlessly. Without balance, Earth would collapse inward or fling its seas outward. Instead, it breathes in tidal rhythm, steady and patient. Gravity does not act alone, but in chorus. The tide is its softest note, the one we hear most often. The night is quiet, and balance keeps time. The moon's gift, the moon is Earth's companion, and its gift is the tide. If the moon were gone, tides would shrink, guided only by the distant sun. Life along coasts would change, ecosystems would fade. The The moon's steady gravity gives Earth a pulse, a heartbeat of oceans. This companionship is ancient. When the moon was closer, tides were stronger, pulling harder, shaping shores with fiercer rhythm. Over time, the moon drifts slowly away, centimeter by centimeter. Its pull weakens, but the bond remains. The tide continues, soft as breath, older than memory. The night is quiet, and the gift endures. A cosmic perspective, the same gravity that pulls at tides holds galaxies together. Black holes form when gravity overwhelms all else, collapsing matter into silence. Stars spin because gravity binds them into spheres. Planets circle stars because of its insistence. Tides are local, but they are also cosmic. Each ripple on a shore is a fragment of the universe's law. To watch a tide rise is to glimpse the same force that sculpts galaxies. To feel water withdrawal is to share in the rhythm of stars. The night is quiet, and the universe leans close, hidden, yet essential gravity is hidden because it is constant. We do not notice it because it never stops. Every step, every breath, every tide is shaped by it. If it vanished, everything would drift apart. Oceans would rise into space, air would scatter, Earth itself would dissolve into fragments. But gravity does not vanish. It remains patient and absolute. Its constancy is the reason life can rest. Creatures can adapt to tides. Humans can build harbors. Birds can migrate tall because gravity is faithful. The night is quiet, and faithfulness holds the world. The hum continues. Gravity hums without sound, a vibration written into space-time itself. Modern science shows that even massive collisions, black holes merging, stars collapsing, send waves through this fabric. These gravitational waves ripple outward, passing through Earth silently, stretching and compressing space itself. We do not feel them directly, but delicate instruments record them, listening to the hum of the universe. Each wave is a memory of something vast and distant, carried invisibly across billions of years. The night is quiet, and the hum of gravity never ends. Toward the next chapter, gravity explains tides, but it does not tell the whole story. The ocean does not rise and fall at once. Everywhere, in perfect symmetry, it lags, it hesitates, it reshapes itself around continents. There is always delay in the ocean's reply. The moon commands, but the seas answer slowly, with friction and pause. The night is quiet, and the ocean prepares its delayed reply. Asterisk, the moon calls, but the ocean does not rush. Its waters hesitate, as though taking a breath before answering. Gravity is strong, insistent, yet water does not leap forward instantly. It is slowed by friction, by depth, by the shape of Earth itself. The ocean is a patient listener, responding not in haste, but in delay. This delay is not failure. It is part of the rhythm itself. It's the moon commands with invisible pull, and the ocean shapes that pull into waves that arrive late, shifted, altered by the world they move through. The tides we see are not gravity alone, but gravity softened, bent, and slowed by the character of the seas. The night is quiet, and the ocean takes its time. Why the delay exists? Water moves, but it is heavy. Oceans are deep, spread across basins, thousands of kilometers wide. When gravity tugs at them, they do not slide like cloth on a table. They resist, caught by their own inertia. It takes time for billions of tons of water to shift. Friction adds its weight to the pause. As tides rise, water drags against the seafloor, against rocks and sand. It moves, but it scrapes in size as it flows. Like a hand pressed to velvet, the surface resists slightly, softening every movement. The result is that tides never align perfectly with the moon's position. Instead, they lag behind, like an echo arriving after the sound. the night is quiet, and the echo drifts slowly across the sea. Continents as barriers, the earth is not one smooth sphere covered by ocean. Continents break its surface, blocking and redirecting water. When gravity pulls, water does not travel freely around the globe. It hits land, splits, curls around edges, and funnels through narrow straits. This reshaping introduces more delay. Instead of rising directly beneath the moon, water is redirected by coasts and ridges, creating complex patterns. Some places experience 2 tides a day, others 1, still others irregular rhythms. The moon's command is steady, but the reply is filtered through Earth's geography. It's like a voice carried through valleys and mountains, altered by every slope and wall. The night is quiet, the land reshapes the reply. The pulse that lingers even after the moon has moved on. The water continues. The bulge does not vanish instantly. It lingers, pulled forward by momentum, still rising after the command has passed. This overshoot creates another delay, another layer of rhythm. It is similar to a pendulum swinging or a bell that keeps ringing after the strike. Water does not obey and stop. It obeys and continues, carrying memory of the pull into the next moment. Thus, tides are always slightly behind, always chasing the moon, but never catching it exactly. The night is quiet, and the chase continues without end. Life within the delay. This hesitation shapes life itself. Many coastal creatures rely not only on tides, but on the rhythm of their delay. Crabs hide in pools that stay wet even after the tide has gone, waiting for its slow return. Birds feed in the windows between high water and its long retreat. Fishermen know to expect the lag, timing their nets not to the moon above, but to the delayed response below. Even humans building harbors and predicting floods have learned to listen not to gravity's command, but to the ocean's patient answer. Delay has become law, part of the fabric of coastal life. The night is quiet, and life adapts to hesitation. The slow breath of the planet the ocean's delay makes tides feel less like sudden shifts and more like breathing. They rise, pause, and fall in rhythm that is patient, not hurried. Twice each day, the sea inhales and exhales, but never abruptly. The motion is softened by the time it takes to move, by the drag of continents, by the resistance of the deep. This makes the tide not simply a pull, but a breath measured, slow, unbroken. The delay is what gives it softness. Without it, tides would be harsh and immediate. With it, they become lullabies of motion. The night is quiet, and the planet breathes slowly. Delay, as balance the hesitation of the seas, also creates balance. If the oceans responded instantly, water would rush violently around the globe, overwhelming shores. Instead, delay spreads motion across time, distributing it gently. This makes coasts livable, estuaries fertile, deltas possible. The very slowness of water ensures its generosity. The pause is not weakness, but balance. In this way, the ocean's delay is a gift, one that softens gravity's firm hand into a rhythm life can live within. The night is quiet, and balance comes through delay. A lesson in patience there is something deeply human in this pause. Just as we take time to respond to change, the ocean too waits, then answers. The moon does not grow impatient, nor does gravity wane. The rhythm allows delay, makes space for it, welcomes it. The sea shows that hesitation is not failure, but part of the music. The reply may be slow, but it is sure. The tide will return, always, in its time. The night is quiet, and patience guides the world. The song of friction is often thought of as hindrance, as resistance that slows motion. Yet, in tides, friction shapes the very song of the sea. It prevents chaos, controls speed, and channels the water into rhythm. The dragging of water across seafloor and coast creates warmth. tiny releases of energy that dissipate into the planet itself. Over millions of years, this has even slowed Earth's rotation slightly, lengthening the day. Friction, delay, and tide are inseparable. Together, they create the measured dance between Earth and Moon. The night is quiet, and friction hums beneath the waves. The endless, like this delay, is not a temporary quirk. It has always been here, from the first oceans, billions of years ago too. The seas of today, tides have lagged, tamed, and they always will. As long as the moon pulls, as long as oceans exist, the answer will arrive late, softened by the journey. The moon may drift farther away, tides may weaken, but the lag will remain. A built-in hesitation, a pause, written into the language of water. The night is quiet, and the pause repeats forever. Toward the next chapter, the moon pulls. The ocean replies, and the delay becomes part of the song. Yet the reply is not the same everywhere, okay? In some bays, the delay amplifies, piling water higher, okay? In some harbors, the pause creates tides that tower and crash. Geography takes hesitation and turns it into power. The night is quiet, and the seas prepare to show how certain places answer more strongly than others. Asterisk, the moon pulls evenly across Earth. Tit, but the ocean does not respond evenly. The shape of land changes everything. Some places feel the tide only as a subtle lift, a few centimeters of movement. In others, the same pull rises into a surge, lifting and lowering the sea by many meters each day. The difference is not the moon's command, but the land's reply. Bays, harbors, estuaries, these are the amplifiers. Their shape gathers water, funnels it, magnifies it. The moon's steady pull becomes dramatic, reshaping coasts, lives, and histories. The night is quiet, and yet in these places, the silence hides immense motion. The funnel effect when a bay narrows toward its end. Water entering has less space to spread. It is squeezed, forced higher, just as wind pressed into a flute grows louder. The tide amplifies, not because the moon pulls harder here, but because the water has nowhere else to go. The funnel effect is simple, yet profound. Wide ocean becomes narrow channel, and the same volume of water must rise further to fit. Day after day, night after night, the rhythm repeats. The moon pulls gently, but the coast replies with grandeur. The night is quiet, and the funnel gathers strength. The Bay of Fundy, perhaps the most famous example, lies between Canada's provinces of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. The Bay of Fundy is shaped like a giant funnel, wide at the mouth, narrowing deep inland. Here, the tide rises and falls more than 16 meters, in some places the highest tides in the world. Twice each day, the sea rushes in like a river, flooding mudflats and harbors. Twice each day, it withdraws, revealing vast stretches of exposed seabed. The landscape transforms within hours, and those who live along its edges know to move with it. The Bay of Fundy is the ocean's voice at its loudest, a demonstration of how geography turns quiet pull into powerful rise. The night is quiet, and yet the bay breathes in and out with colossal patience, resonance of water beyond shape alone. Timing adds to the amplification. If the natural rhythm of a bay aligns with the lunar tide, resonance occurs. A sync, the water rocks back and forth in sync with the moon's pull, like a child on a swing, pushed at just the right moment. A cycle adds to the next, building greater height. This resonance is part of why the Bay of Fundy grows so dramatic. The moon's rhythm matches the bay's natural sway, and the two join in harmony. The result is tidal motion that seems far greater than the pull behind it. The night is quiet, and resonance deepens the song. Harbors that breathe smaller harbors experience the same effect on a gentler scale. Narrow mouths and sheltered basins create amplifications noticeable to sailors and fishers. In some ports, the tide may rise meters higher than along the open coast nearby. Boats that rest on mud at low tide float again at high, lifted by the bay's amplified breath. Harbors, though human-made, often sit within natural features that already shape tides. Walls, piers, and breakwaters echo what cliffs and coves do on larger scales. The sea enters, swells, retreats, repeating its motion endlessly. The night is quiet, and harbors fill and empty in rhythm. Estuaries and rivers where rivers meet the sea, tides flow inland. Narrowing channels amplify them, sending salt water far upstream. In some estuaries, tides carry ocean scent and life deep into the land, shaping ecosystems far from the coast. In the Severn estuary in Britain, a tidal bore surges upriver at certain times, a wall of water rolling against the current. Surfers even ride this tidal wave, carried 4 kilometers inland. It is geography amplifying the moon's command, turning a steady pull into a moving wall. The night is quiet, and yet rivers rise with ocean breath. Gentle shores, subtle replies. Not everywhere is dramatic. In parts of the Mediterranean, enclosed by narrow straits, tides may rise and fall by only a few centimeters. To the eye, they seem absent. Fishermen notice them, but they do not dominate life as they do in Fundy or Severn. Here, geography softens the response, dampening the moon's pull instead of amplifying it. This, too, is part of the pattern. The earth answers the moon in many voices, some whispers, some crescendos. The night is quiet, and the whispers are no less true. Human life in amplified tides, where tides run high, people adapt. In Fundy, fishermen time their work to shifting waters, knowing harbors empty completely at low tide. Ships rest on seabeds for hours, only to float again by evening. Houses are built on stilts, fields drained and flooded, in turn in estuaries with bores. Human history has been to tide sports, positioned where ships could ride the rise inland. Mills built to harness tidal surges, calendars arranged around cycles of water. Amplification is not only spectacle, but livelihood. The night is quiet. Lives continue in step with the swelling seas. Ecological richness, amplified tides create ecological abundance. It's a constant flooding and draining of mud flats, stir nutrients into the water, feeding plankton. Fish gather, birds follow, and entire food webs thrive. Migrating birds depend on Fundy's mudflats as refueling stations, feasting on worms and crustaceans revealed at low tide. The moon, filtered through geography, becomes an architect of ecosystems. Without amplified tides, many coasts would be poorer, less fertile. With them, life multiplies. The night is quiet, and ecosystems pulse with the moon's rhythm. The subtle mathematics of shape behind the poetry lies geometry. The width of a bay, the slope of its floor, the depth of its basin all determine how water will respond. The rules are precise, yet the effect is felt as beauty and power. Scientists model these shapes with equations, but coastal villagers know them simply as daily reality. Shape translates force into rhythm, and rhythm into life. The moon is constant, but the earth's edges sculpt its song. The night is quiet, and the edges carve the melody. Amplification and change as the climate shifts. Amplified tides become more dramatic. Rising seas lift the baseline higher, so every tide begins from a greater depth. Flooding grows more frequent. Harbors face new challenges. Ecosystems adjust. The amplification remains, but its consequences intensify. Yet, still, the rhythm holds. The moon pulls, the bay answers, the tide amplifies. The pattern continues. Even as coastlines change, the night is quiet, and the pattern holds steady toward the next chapter, amplified